Good morning, and thank you for waking up with us on this Saturday morning. I'm Mariana Manise.
And I'm Cheryl Preheim. Thank you for being with us. This morning we are following two big stories in Atlanta. The Arctic cold headed our way, and the final goodbyes for late President Jimmy Carter. Here's a look at what's happening today. His family will arrive at the Phoebe Sumter Medical Center in Americus at 10:15 this morning, before the former president makes that one last trip to Atlanta. His motorcade will arrive at the state capitol at 3 this afternoon for a moment of silence. There will be a service at the Carter Presidential Center at 4. He will then lie in repose starting tonight at 7 until 6 a.m. on Tuesday morning. We have team coverage in Plains, Americus, and here in Atlanta at the Carter Center. Our reporters are all over the state covering Carter's life and legacy from all angles, as well as what to expect if you're one of the many people who plans to pay their respects today at the Carter Center or along the route of the motorcade.
But first, let's get over to our meteorologist, Nicole Hartford, with a check of this very chilly forecast. You see all of our reporters, they are certainly bundled up this morning, Nicole.
Yes, and you need to be bundled up if you're headed outside this morning or really at any point throughout the day. Those layers are going to be key. Now, it looks nice. This is our view from Northside Hospital towards the King and the Queen. Bright blue skies, beautiful. Does it feel nice? I think most would say no. Temperatures this morning are cold. We're sitting at 31 right now in Atlanta. Our winds are not nearly as strong as they were yesterday, but there's still a light breeze out of the northwest at about 10 miles per hour. So that's going to make it feel about 5 to 10 degrees colder than the actual air temperature. So right now in Atlanta, it's actually feeling like 22. We are at or below freezing across the board across North Georgia. Right now, 32 degrees in Duluth, 28 in Canton, 29 in Gainesville. And while there will be a little bit of warming throughout the day today, don't get your hopes up. It will not be warm by any means. High temperatures will top out in the mid to maybe upper 40s across the area. We will get to enjoy this sunshine all day today, but cloud cover moves in tonight. That is the first of our changes as we go into the second half of the weekend. We'll bring in more clouds and a potential for rainfall by tomorrow.
Alrighty. The state funeral honoring President Jimmy Carter begins this morning in Plains, and it's been a busy last few hours as last-minute preparations are being made.
We are now less than 2 hours away from events formally getting started. Zach Merchant is in downtown Plains this morning. So much work, Zach, and emotion leading up to the start of these formal events to honor Mr. Carter. What have you heard about the sentiments of people there and the plans for today? We're expecting a crowd, I imagine.
We are expecting a crowd, and you're right, there was a lot of prep work that went into getting to this moment. Of course, over the last week, we've seen the visible signs of it, increased security, the barriers you see behind us, of course, but lots of work went in behind the scenes for years to get to this moment. You can see some of the people coming out to enjoy and coming out to pay their respects and celebrate President Carter and his 100 years of legacy here in Plains. You see them lining the streets. Just a few folks now. We expect many more later today. Of course, in a moment like this one, questions of legacy arise. We got to ask Jason Carter, President Jimmy Carter's grandson, about that in an interview on the Georgia Vote a few months ago. What do you hope President Carter's legacy will be?
You know, I think he has a complicated legacy, but it really boils down to me, and I think for him, that he lived out his faith and the commandment to love your neighbor as yourself in a way that made him respect people. And he used that respect to tell the truth. He used that respect to promote human rights. He used that respect to work with the least of these all over the world in a way that gave him partners in the poorest places in the world to do remarkable things.
And that respect is at the heart of a lot of what you're going to see out here today and over the next few days. Of course, a somber moment, but you're going to see a lot of smiles too as people have an opportunity to look back on 100 years of good works. We're live in Plains this morning. Zach Merchant, 11 Alive News.
Thanks a lot, Zach. Mr. Carter's final journey will begin from Phoebe Sumter Medical Center in Americus. That's at about 10:15 this morning. And right now, people there are making sure that his send-off is followed to the letter. We talked to Sumter County Sheriff Eric Bryant, who as a young deputy stood guard while Mr. Carter was teaching Sunday school. Now sheriff, he will be part of the motorcade that escorts the president from Americus to Atlanta.
I want to make sure every single thing is perfect. I want to make sure that, the patrol car is parked perfect. I want to make sure that the uniform fits me just the way I want it to fit.
You feel how personal every detail is for everyone in Plains. Rebecca Lindstrom is in Americus. Rebecca, I guess we feel the love in those details. This is a town where everyone knows everyone. They're part of each other's lives. And today, this formal goodbye starts to the most famous and much loved neighbor.
Absolutely. You can feel the pride that is here in this community. We have been here all week long listening to people share their stories and their memories. The roads around Phoebe Sumter Medical Center will actually be closing in about a half an hour for the security detail, and that means that folks who are wanting to come here to see the start of the funeral processions are going to need to get here within the next few minutes. Already there's about 24 people who have come, as well as an entire other group of Secret Service and their families and law enforcement that have all started to get here for the beginning of this procession. Now we are expecting the motorcade to arrive at about 10:15 with President Carter's family. They're going to be pulling up there to the entrance of Phoebe Sumter. That is when President Carter's casket will be loaded from the hospital to the hearse by 9 Secret Service agents that represent his current and former Secret Service detail. They will then walk alongside the hearse, sort of signifying the end of their protective detail. And then nearby will be staff from both the hospital and hospice, individuals that have helped care for Mr. Carter over the last 5 years. I did get a chance to speak with Carter's personal physician. Dr. Michael Raines was with President Carter as he breathed his last breath, and he said that his final days were peaceful, that he was surrounded by family. Of course, being that he was 100 years old, I took the opportunity to ask him just what he thought was the secret to Mr. Carter's long life.
He was in very good health. Even after he started having some problems, he took care of himself. He walked and he exercised and he'd swim in his pool, and he ate a very healthy diet. He ate a lot of fruits and vegetables and berries and nuts, and he took care of himself. And his faith played a big role. He didn't worry about his health. He just put it in the hands of God, and he lived his life to the fullest.
Dr. Raines says Mr. Carter just took his failing health in stride. He was a good patient, never complaining, always having a good demeanor and a positive attitude. He says that the last few days, even though Mr. Carter didn't communicate much, he was cognizant up until those final moments of what was going on around him. And he says that it is his honor to be out here today with 5 of his grandchildren to help celebrate his life and take part in this special moment. Live at Phoebe Sumter in Americus, Rebecca Lindstrom, 11 Alive News.
Thank you, Rebecca. We know the motorcade will arrive to Atlanta around 3 p.m. for a stop and moment of silence at the state capitol, then move to the Carter Center, arriving around 3:45 p.m. where a ceremony will take place, followed by a private service. The public will then have a chance to pay their respects starting this evening. That's where we find 11 Alive's Liza Lucas, who's joining us now live from the Carter Center. Liza, tell us, what can people expect if they plan to travel to the Carter Center today?
Well, that private service we do know will include the Carter family and Carter Center staff, and that was a long-time request of the Carters. They wanted to be sure that the people who do the work here and around the world every day were part of that first round of the state funeral. But tonight, as you mentioned, the public will be able to participate as well and pay their respects starting at 7 p.m. this evening. That's when the 39th president will start the line and repose here at the Carter Center, and that's going to continue until Tuesday, 6 a.m. It's going to happen around the clock, 24/7. The public will have a chance to visit. Now, there's no parking on site, so MARTA will have those free shuttle buses in place that'll be running from King Memorial Station starting at 6 p.m. tonight. Here's the thing, you cannot bring any bags or backpacks with you, nothing, no umbrellas, only diaper bags are an exception and they will be searched. The state funeral already bringing in mourners as we've seen, and we've spoken with those traveling for the occasion, including David Montoya, who came in from Austin, Texas, driving more than 13 hours to be here and pay tribute.
He had a heart of gold. His wife and him just did many great works, and working side by side in the Habitat community shows a lot. Between both of them, that was a perfect heavenly match. You know, they were a great couple together for humanity.
And it'll be such a significant thing to see those like David who never met the president but admired him from afar, and then those who worked side by side with him for so many decades here at the Carter Center. Again, both opportunities for paying respect today. Throughout the public repose, the military will also maintain a guard of honor, and we know that lines are likely to be long at times, so definitely make a plan, come early, prepare by dressing for the weather, and security is going to be tight. So give yourself plenty of time to get here. We've got all the details laid out for you. If you do plan to make a trip to the Carter Center, they're pinned for you at the top of 11alive.com. Live at the Carter Center, Liza Lucas, 11 Alive News.
Thank you, Liza. And you can stream extended coverage of Jimmy Carter's life and legacy right now on 11 Alive Plus. The app is free to download on your Roku, Amazon Fire, or Apple TV.